No, no, no.
Hindi niya pa ata na ano sa kanya.
No, no,
Yeah.
no, no.
Kaya lang, toxin buildup. If I name it
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome the one and only.
Isa-isa ko ikaw, ang ikaw,
That's one. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please settle down. Ladies and gentlemen, please settle down. As you notice, this is a last session, probably the most fun you'll have in this conference. Look, this session will be historical in 3 accounts. Since 2005, the Ministerial Conference started after the Hyogo World Conference. This is the first time that civil society have the main stage. The first time. So it feels like the first time, really. Number 2, this is the first time that Asia Pacific civil society gets together as one, as Asia Pacific. And now you need to get ready with your bigger clap of hand. The first time that Pacific Islands Association of NGOs, or PIANGO, leads a regional major events. Now on that, let me start with this. By a show of hand, who have the umbrella? Okay, there you go. This is the rule of the instruction for use. First, remove the condoms. Remove the condoms. I mean the plastic coverage. Number 2, unfasten. And then you reach inside. There's a lever inside. Okay. Number 3, you watch out for your neighbors so that you don't poke anybody's eyes. All right. Now get ready. And then you pull it up and count of 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. Let's wait until everybody's umbrella is drawn up. Go up. Excellent. There you go. Number 5, you turn it around as if you're having fun. Why I'm doing this, ladies and gentlemen? Perhaps this is the best analogy you have for disaster preparedness, is to have your umbrella ahead of the rain, not after. All right. Number 2, I was told this umbrella is not just an umbrella. It's really sturdy. It stands for the storm and things. But most importantly, it goes for you to play golf. Thank you, everyone. Let's fold the umbrella and let's get into it. Right. Let me settle down then. Ladies and gentlemen, now we come to order. This session could only take place because of the, as I said, Civil Society of Asia Pacific have been planning this session since December last year. We have met no less than 6 meetings to craft this. And then we are working with our colleagues from Asia Development Bank for ADB. This will be a joint session with them. The title is Building Climate Resilience in Asia Pacific. A big title, right? Local leadership and global support for bigger impact. So this is a title. The 3 things. In a sense, it talks about 1, recognizing, appreciating, and amplifying the local level works that local governments, CSOs, and communities has been doing. Number 2, putting a careful look and as appropriate support to global support to local actions, regional and national, with the premise that the combination of 2 will actually bring us forward closer to SDGs, inshallah. Right? That being said, we have a little bit of speech and remarks, just a very brief one. And then we have speakers line up. After that, a question answer. So please get ready with your questions. I would like to greet our participants online. This is among very few that as CSO, we insist that it has to be online so that we are not confined by this beautiful building, but it is accessible everywhere. So colleagues will have access to you. They can ask questions. They can put you in a vulnerable position and ask the hard questions. Yeah. So greetings to colleagues everywhere online. Please get ready. We have 4 colleagues at the corner of the room that will help you with the questions. And this is the rule of the game. If you ask a question, mention your name, make sure you know whom you're asking question for, and ask only 1 question. And don't explain the question. We get it, all right? Just ask the question. Usually you love to listen to yourself and take long to ask question. Huh? Don't do that. All right. I would like now to invite 3 incredible and distinguished speakers. As we go along, we have the sign language interpreter on the left side for those online and you who need to have assistance on that, right? Our first speaker is a young woman, again, from the far away. Our colleague, Olive Murphy, right? Olive is a coordinator of the Facility Aiding Locally Led Empowerment, or FALE, part of the Pacific Islands Association of NGOs. Olive, please come forward. A young woman from the youth coordinator. I think by design, the moderator is very old, the speakers are very young. Hold on your chair, I'll get you the younger one. The second speaker, another female, the Honorable Mayor Karen Rosales. This young woman here, she became municipal mayor when she was 26. 26. the youngest mayor in the Philippines, is, if not in the world. No, truly, 26, you know. When 26, I was still flirting and doing all that. She's mayor already. Okay. She's from the Las Nieves municipality of the Angeles, Agusan del Norte, right? She comes from a municipality that is having frequent flooding. And we would like to learn from her how she leverage the partnership on that. Our third, Mafi is from Pacific, and then Mayor Karen is from Southeast Asia. Now the speaker from South Asia, another woman, Ms. Sobina Lama. Yep, she's the program manager of Lumanti Shelter Resource Group in Kathmandu, Nepal. So 3 young women sitting with me, and yours truly as a moderator. Now, before we start with the talk, there's going to be 2 rounds of quick firing talk show. This is not a long and winding lecture. It's going to be quick. But before that, ladies and gentlemen, just to walk us through what we have gone through in the journey, I would like to invite Mr. Akmal Ali, the first male and the only male among the lineup, all right? Also from the Facility Aiding Locally Led Engagement, FALE, of Piango, Mr. Akmal Ali, please. Could you walk us through the history? Thank you.
Bismillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Magandang umaga, good morning, namaste. Nisambula binaka, maalolele, talo falava, kamna maori, fakalo falahiyatu, ekomover omo, kasilelia, and a warm Pacific greetings to one and all. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Akmal Ali, and I'm very proud here this morning to stand in front of you all while you're present in this room and globally to everybody to greet you all and to say how proud Piango is today to partner with our Asian brothers and sisters, the Pacific Islands Association of NGOs. When we came to Brisbane, it was an event. When we came in the beginning, we came as fragmented. We came as Asia and the Pacific. And before that, while discussions were going on in Mongolia, when the government of Australia announced that the next meeting will be held in Brisbane, when we from AM became AP, Asia Pacific, when we came in Brisbane, we were still a little bit apart because, as you know, Asia is this big and then the Pacific is this big. And then being the largest continents of the world, we are cluttered together while the rest of the world is set together. And we are supposed to solve our own issues together. And when push comes to shove, most of the time, the Pacific in a room of 400 would equal to 1 participant. And that narrative had to be changed. That narrative had to be challenged. Because if we were Asia and the Pacific, we had to come together. We had to leave no one behind. And with the spirit of inclusivity, we had the likes of none other than Papuji, Atenenet, Jennifer, the ADRNN, and the other networks, NIA network, and everybody coming together and saying, let's all work together, let's form a solidarity, and let's come together to the next APEMDRR as one. And we created history. This is the first civil society-led event, and I'd like to welcome you. Haramai, Haramai, Haramai. Now, as you can see, the discussion about coming together finalized in Brisbane, and we had a Tongan Ngatu and Fijian Mets, and of course, a factory-made, very personalized, conceptualized Tongan design mat. And we had some prints from Vanuatu in the Pacific tent. We had a meeting with everybody together and we said, what can we do? How can we come together? The significance of the mat is when we roll the mat, nobody is above and nobody is below. Nobody is black, white, yellow, or green. Everybody is equal. We come together as one. We come together as one voice because we have one journey, because we have one focus, which is people-centered approach. Ladies and gentlemen, in significance of this, may I request the four panelists to please stand up and roll out this mat, which is traditionally done by the indigenous people of Philippines and similar to the traditional mats of the Pacific. Therefore, we are now officially rolling the mat for Talanoa, which is with empathy, compassion, and love. And we want to say, Asia Pacific, we have come together. Let's continue the journey together. With this, I wish the panelists all the very best. And thank you to our colleagues in Asia. And we are looking for some fruitful discussions. Vinakavakalevu, Jazakallah khair. Thank you too much. Fafetai Telelava.
Thank you very much. That's Brother Akmal Ali from Fale. Fale, which by the way also means a house with no walls in the Pacific. So a house where anybody could come in, could speak, and you have the mat. There you go. That's the Pacific spirit there. Now let's get to a more substantive part of the conversation. I would like to invite Ms. Suranjana Gupta. She is the Senior Advisor on Community Resilience of the Hawaii Rau Commission from India. Ms. Suranjana, please.
Thank you very much, Pak Puji. And it's great to be on this panel of very distinguished women. Thanks to our partners, the Asian Development Bank, who have actually partnered with you to position us on this panel. So by way of context, let me quickly say that the Hawaii Commission is essentially a movement of grassroots women's organizations and facilitating NGOs. We focus on grassroots women's leadership and in promoting gender-just, sustainable, resilient communities. So we essentially have been looking at the role of organized women's groups living in both poor and low-income urban, rural, and indigenous settlements all over the world. And I'm going to share a little bit about what we've been doing with a financial mechanism and a learning mechanism called the Community Resilience Fund over the last decade or so, through which we've been channeling resources to grassroots women's organizations and enabling them to sort of drive the agenda for resilience in response to their own local priorities. So let me start by saying that what we have essentially learned about financing the local implementation of the Sendai framework, or even if you look at it as part of locally led adaptation, essentially grassroots women's organizations, community-based networks need iterative cycles of flexible funds in their own hands in order to drive resilience agendas and sustain change. So for us, the transformative angle of this work is incredibly important. And the transformative angle for us is focused on shifting the relationship between grassroots women and their families and communities, but more importantly, shifting the relationship of grassroots women's organizations with institutional actors, particularly the government, to enable government institutions and NGOs to see women's organizations as stakeholders and partners, not simply as vulnerable passive beneficiaries. Now, the flexibility that I'm talking about essentially means two or three different things. First, groups need funds in hand to address a number of different things, including things like shifting food and farming systems to be more climate smart, restoring environmental resources, repairing or building new infrastructure, or acquiring or taking control of things like land and other assets so that they can control how these assets are utilized for their benefit and to support them to withstand the impacts of natural hazards and climate change. So what is essential here is that they not only acquire the technical skills and knowledge to advance their learning and ability to take action in these areas, but also that these technical skills are set within a process of building collective power and movement, to build grassroots women's leadership, to build their voice, to build coalitions and enable them to collectively negotiate with public decision makers to shift the ways in which public decision-making processes, planning, budgets accommodate this work that grassroots women are doing. And we also find that even where there are very effective, strong policies of decentralization and inclusion, like in Indonesia, and the decentralized village budgets and programs, you still need support for grassroots women to innovate and test and demonstrate their strategies to build credibility and confidence and promote collaborative work between grassroots women's organizations and village government and local government. Secondly, the ways in which grassroots women are using their resources, we observe, is that practically every organization who has received funding over the last 10 years, and particularly in the last 5 years, which is about 20 organizations who've been receiving these resources, all of them have actually taken up community-based sort of asset building or restoring of infrastructure or restoring natural resources, protecting natural resources, which are all collective goods. So they have not focused only on those issues which are purely women's issues or purely focused on their own groups, but looked at the larger good of the community when they've had resources available or when they've negotiated for resources for better roads from their local government or their national government. Now, all this has actually had a huge impact. We saw during the COVID crisis where groups were very quickly able to pivot. They were quickly able to repurpose resources. They actually, within our network, women's groups and the governing council of members and grassroots leaders actually decided what kind of criteria should be used to give money to groups dealing with the COVID crisis. And the money was used to support groups to do whatever they needed to do, whether it was to support women's groups to or local migrant groups to find shelter or run community kitchens, or women did a host of things, including setting up community gardens, providing food, providing shelter, and linking groups to social protection programs, linking groups to government health programs, and so on. So the investment that has been made over a period of time has actually enabled groups to develop their collective leadership, which allows them to quickly respond to challenges, which is what we need in a scenario where weather patterns are becoming increasingly unpredictable, small and big disasters are becoming more and more frequent, and all this is being captured. One of the questions I have is what kind of policy space and norms work for this kind of, to promote this kind of work. And we've been partnering with the Asian Development Bank in the development and now in the implementation of the Community Resilience Partnership Program. And we bring this experience and learning into the program where we've been given space to provide flexible resources. We are engaged in co-developing and co-designing and collectively looking at how the program is going to be assessed. And this is the kind of work that we will be bringing and the learning that we'll be bringing to national governments and global institutions in the next couple of years is what is really needed to make disaster risk reduction policies, programs, finances really work for people on the ground. Thank you. And sorry to go
Thank
over
you.
my time.
That's okay. Thank you very much. Ms. Ranjana Gupta from Huaryu Commission. Thank you very much. Later we'll get Ranjana to wrap up what we learned from the conversation. But one thing that we can pull together, women, also same like other grassroots groups, need to have access to financial resources on sustained fashion. Coupled with technical support, they can go a long way to make their own decision and what's not. Now, Suranjana, thank you. I will call you back later. Please be seated. Let's move on to the distinguished speakers on the stage now. Along that line, talking about women at risk. 2 years ago, was it 2 years? There was a huge tsunami that happened in Tonga. A very complex situation. Now, let me go first to Olive. Could you share with us how the CSOs, we're talking about the local action for the first round, okay? How the CSOs partnership and collaboration actually help the vulnerable women, marginalized women, to make their way out from it. Over to you, Olive.
Thank you very much, Pawuchi. Maloy Lele and warm Pacific greetings. Let me just give it a bit of context. So the principle of the Fale program in Tonga derives from a very traditional way of life. You see, in Tonga, in my country, when you prepare for a funeral or a wedding, we don't fundraise or we ask for our families overseas to bring us some money to buy some gifts to go with to the funeral. No, we go with what we have. And so that's the idea around how we CSOs and local humanitarian actors do our response. In the face of a disaster, we realize that we each have our own preposition stock. We all had our own information. Oftentimes we shared that information. Oftentimes we shared our stock. It was just a matter of formalizing that coordination and that communication to ensure that the response is rapid and efficient. When we talk about resilience, we often refer to economic resilience. And this translates in the community to livelihoods and source of income. So the livelihood for women in Tonga is mainly weaving. So I think it's suffice to say that in order to promote resilience, we need to protect the livelihoods. But how do we do that in the face of disaster? And so after the tsunami 2 years ago, the civil society coalition, now known as the Fale, in an initiative we called the Cash for Weaving, we supported women in weaving by not only providing them raw materials like pendana leaves so that they can continue to do their weaving. But we also purchased some of the handicrafts from the women in the vulnerable and severely impacted communities. These are the women that are unable to continue to store and maintain their handicrafts. So not only are we providing them the resources to continue their livelihoods, we're providing them some money to get them back on their feet. That initiative was Cash for Weaving. We also supported women community farmers and local farmers in an initiative we called Cash for Crops. These are the crops that you see on this side. In a nutshell, the Cash for Crop entails, so the community farmers, the women, after the tsunami, they were growing worried that their produce, that their crops will be affected by the volcanic ashfall. And so we needed to mobilize our Fale members to swiftly go in, not only assist them in harvesting the crops, but we purchased the crops from these women farmers. And in turn, we distribute those crops to the communities that were forced to relocate. There were 3 main islands in Tonga that were forced to relocate, and we targeted households that were predominantly women and children, as you see on this picture. So this is, it shows that this coordinated effort, it has a very profound impact. And we see that women who were vulnerable before, they are now active members in their communities. In fact, we are using some of them as our community focal points. And we work closely not only with them, but with the partners to ensure that the response and the preparedness is tailored to directly address the need. Thank you, Babaji.
Thank you. Thank you. So I think what you're looking at is really in the Pacific. The CSOs have played this complementary role to what the governments are doing in working with the grassroots. Now let's shift to a local government. Mayor Karen, the Honorable Young Mayor, being on the 26th. Would you like to share with us how have you managed to leverage, the collaboration of different sectors in your local government that bring your population more resilient to disasters? Over to you, please.
Thank you, Mr. Puji. Before I proceed to answer that question, I'd like to show a very short video presentation. It highlights how locally led initiatives has strengthened our disaster preparedness capacities in the communities in Las Nieves.
All right, I count to 3, 2, 1. I keep going here. While they're fixing it, Karen, you like to proceed? Yes.
Okay, I'll just go ahead. Just a little bit of context.
Oh, wait, it's here.
Oh, I see.
I think somebody will have really big trouble after this. Right, Chris.
Thank you. So back again, a little bit of context about my municipality. In the heart of Agusan del Norte, in the province of Agusan del Norte, the municipality of Las Nieves faces far more severe flooding than many of our neighboring towns. For years, we have endured heartbreaking losses in lives and assets, but these hardships has really taught us that disaster preparedness is not just an option, but a necessity for survival. And our transformation over the years, from being a high-risk municipality to now one of the most disaster-resilient municipality in the region, has not been an easy path, but it is one we were really determined to take. And in my experience as a local chief executive, much of our success and gains in disaster resilience building is attributed to our continuing partnerships and collaborations across all sectors in the community, which include civil society organizations. So together, we are transforming our vulnerability into strength, and we hope to build a future where resilience is our greatest asset. So for example, in Las Nieves, in February of this year, typhoon that devastated the municipality. It affected 14,000 of our residents and displacing 3,000 families. So that is roughly 30% of our total population affected by the flooding. By working with civil society organizations like EcoWeb, we are able to empower communities to lead their own recovery. So this using the flexible support from civil society organizations, it has really helped in communities to lead their own, as I said, recovery. So the SCLR approach has not really brought an immediate relief to the communities, but also strengthened our long-term capacity to face crisis head-on. So I think for the governments to effectively scale up on locally led solutions, it is really important to institutionalize community-led approaches by integrating them into our formal disaster risk reduction plans and program. In doing so, our interventions and policies in the government are grounded on the needs identified at the grassroots level. So they become not only realistic, but as well as sustainable. This ensures that solutions are tailored to the unique strengths and vulnerabilities of each communities, which is also very crucial for an effective DRR planning. So for governments must really provide resources and proactively create platforms for the local voices to become part of the decision-making process. Communities are really empowered through the transfer of control, which leads to the sense of independence in choosing the solutions that are fit for themselves and which are effective in their respective communities.
Excellent.
Ultimately, enabling communities to lead their own disaster preparedness and response initiatives, building a sustainable and proactive culture of disaster preparedness.
Excellent. Thank you. Round of applause for young mayor. Look, listening to young mayor so eloquently talking about the role of community made me feel at ease. I can retire any time now that the young one is so eloquent and good on that. Let's shift it. We heard the from Pacific, Southeast Asia. Let's move to South Asia, to Sobina. Sobina, you work with the NGO on the shelter resource. And could you share with us how you play this multi-sectoral collaboration, including with the business sector, please?
Hello, everyone. I'm Sobina. I'm from Nepal, and I'm also affiliated with the Warrior Commission in the regional level. I really want to talk about the partnership that the community and the local government had. So we work in the informal settlement. It's been like 30 years that we have been working. So the major partnership, lies in the three elements, I would say. One is the participation. It's the actual meaning of participation, where you can bring the community people, community groups, especially the vulnerable groups from the different informal settlements. And the second thing is the recognition. There are lots of practices, good practices in the community level where, we can ensure the partnership not only with the government, but with the different stakeholders. And the third thing is the sharing. The sharing in the sense of, in terms of financial sharing or the human resources, the capacitated human resources of the community. So I really want to give one example where in Nepal, we really had a good model of demonstrative, housing project where we ensure the partnership of all the community groups and the community federation, and also the the local government funding organization, which is one of the demonstrative project that included in the government documents that, okay, this one is the one doable partnership work along with the government and the community groups. So there are several other organizations, since I'm also representing the region. So there are so many approaches and the mechanism that that in our the many member countries, like we also talk about the people-led approach, people's planning, where the most vulnerable communities from the informal settlement, they sit together with the government, with the local government, they design and, they estimated the cost of all the housing, what types of housing they want. And also we, included the different perspective, like in gender, it's like women-friendly houses. So there are so many examples that, that we have. So thank you.
Thank you. Excellent. Colleagues, that's end the first round. I think what you hear is a lot of local level action done by CSO, local government, the partnership and whatnot. Then going back to what Suranjana was saying earlier. So now it's very pertinent to us. Where is the policy space for this kind of localized actions, so that good practices could be scaled out, okay, could be replicated and be part of the policy. I think part of the challenge is once we bring it up, suddenly this scheme fall apart, simply because the policy is not sturdy enough to support it. Now, let's go on to the second round, again, rapid firing. This time I'll be asking our colleagues about the global support. What kind of support would they need to make sure that the local initiative prosper rather than being undermined? You know, this is very important given the current debate globally in the humanitarian field, at least, with the grand bargain, all of those things, where we try to find a good fit between a global support and local action. But let's hear from the local actually. Olive, back to you. If we were to give you the luxury of creating things, you know, what would be an ideal partnership with the international actors that would you like to see in Tonga?
Thank you very much, Babuji. Just two things. You know, when the tsunami hit, while the agencies and our governments were still having a meeting, our CSO members were already climbing over debris to distribute urgent needs, food and water to the vulnerable communities. That was only enabled through a partnership with donors that fill the gap many of our traditional donors aren't able to fill. Funding mechanisms will only be community friendly if the community are engaged in the decision making, from the designing to the implementation to the M&E. Involve the impacted for an impactful response. Just second to that, leverage on existing structures. Let's scope out what works. And programs such as the FALE, particularly for the Pacific, works for the community. So if we are genuine about not leaving anyone behind, we need to invest in transformative and innovative programs such as the FALE. Thank you.
I'm speechless. I almost cannot say. I'm fascinated by this. The word, the donors could only work if you involve the one who are affected to make decision, right? It's such a profound thing. And now that it's being brought from the ground, I hope, and I truly hope that it will find its way to those whoever who's negotiating upstairs, right? Now, Mayor Karen, you have been working with EcoWeb and other CSOs and also with international organizations, I suppose. What more do you see in front of you with this partnership?
Yeah, thank you. In Las Nieves, the role of private philanthropists is very crucial for enabling EcoWeb to provide microgrants to our communities. So these flexible microgrants provided by international private foundations like Legatum and Vitul has been a key factor in allowing our communities to thrive. And it is a very great example of how support from the private sectors, when it is flexible and aligned with local priorities, can truly enable community resilience. So moving forward, I think the private sector can become more effective partners with us in the government by three things: investing and promoting in technologies that improve the resilience of our local infrastructure, such as smart grids or flood-resistant buildings. Secondly, by investing or promoting in resilient infrastructure, financing and building local infrastructure such as flood defenses and sustainable energy systems, as well as transportation networks and communication networks. And number three, improving the disaster preparedness of the LGUs by providing technical tools and expertise that will improve the early warning systems and recovery processes. So I think by collaborating closely with us, the government, the private sector can significantly improve our disaster resilience building effort. But more importantly, this collaboration ensures that every innovation, every expertise, every resources is fully leveraged to protect communities as well as economies from the impacts of disasters.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So I think there's one thing that I could learn from here. If you do your card right in disaster risk reduction, you can get re-elected for sure. Well, that's the highest incentive for politicians, isn't it? Right? To leverage all those good things that get into resilience, get you re-elected. Ultimately, you're young. You could be mayor for 20 times. All right. But that's being said though, Sobina, if I hear correctly, you're your program connected with Huayru Commission, and Huayru is connected to ADB. Is that correct? So that link. Now, putting a spot on you, what kind of shape of partnership do you like to see of ADB for as a regional body to support initiative like yours, so that it could also be true for Indonesia, for Lao PDR, for Philippines and others? Share with us, please.
Yes, thank you. We are also the part of this community resilience partnership program with Huayru Commission through ADB. So what kind of partnership we are seeking with the community right now is we are assessing, or we are assessing in the community level what kind of vulnerabilities are there. So we are not just like the community leaders or groups that they are assessing. We're also
Let me
involving.
cut you short very quickly. ADB is a bank, is a bank, is a bank. The name is a bank. There are communities and disasters that are unbankable. They are so small, so localized, so frequent, they are not bankable. Do you deal with that kind of community? And how did you make your case to Huayru and ADB?
Yes, yes, I already shared about the, like some of the practices, particularly the, like the partnership, there are, like the fund that we have created along with the community groups in the municipality. The one of the, like the best practice we would say is like Urban Community Support Fund. That was created in the municipality level, and where the stake of the community is also there. They are in the decision-making position that where we are going to invest that money for. So some of them have, like they mobilize this money for the water and sanitation. Some of them have, mobilized that for the housing projects, and also the livelihood initiative. So what we see as a, like the, from the like the ADB or our like the Huayru Commission is that we are testing some of these practices through the small grant support. So which and we are expecting that will definitely definitely give a good result, that fund, that grant is actually goes to the community and they have such initiatives.
Right.
Yes, thank
Excellent.
you.
So that kind of partnership, you assess first, you try it out, make sure it's sort of foolproof, and you scale up the municipality level and go on, right? So round of applause for our speakers, please. Ladies and gentlemen, we have listened to cases, the real cases from the ground, from municipality level, all right, where local action are combined with global support and come up with something. Now, we're about to open the question answer online and here, but before that one, this event could only happen thanks to the Asia Pacific CSO forums. We have been talking for the last 10 months to make it happen. EcoWeb has been a good friend to work with us on this. Oxfam has been supporting us left and right and bringing some of us here. And also many other CSOs who have been working with us in this scheme. Now, let's move on. There is a Mentimeter that we would like you to participate. Please whip out your mobile phone and then scan the QR code if you can, and then answer the uncomfortable questions. All right. While you do that, let me just compliment the speakers here on the stage that I would like to thank you all young people. With that spirit, with that, innovations at the local level, I think we're on the right path to resilience toward 2030. The challenge and opportunity in front of us, as Ranjana said, let's work on the policy. On the part of the CSOs, I think I would like to welcome Akmal's announcement that Asia Pacific Civil Society has agreed to put that act together to work more collaboratively towards surging up to 2030. So for CSOs who are here in the house, stick around for the next 20 minutes after the session. We're going to crown each other with a mandate and a job that you are now part of the network, part of the folly, and part of the math. So stick around, don't go home. Lunch will be provided tomorrow. With that, can we show the result of the Mentimeter, please? Is there any way to do that? It's there. You still filling in? I don't even know what the question is. All right. What sectors are you from? Let's just highlight very quickly. I think appropriate to the title, most of the participants are from local CSOs and NGOs, and then international NGOs, Asia Pacific government. That's encouraging. Others, these others, whether you can see them or not, they are here. Yeah, these are the composition. Next, partnering with CSO and local leaders have significant role in building climate resilience. What is your position on the above statement? I am looking forward to anybody say, I disagree, but maybe that option is not available to you. Completely agree, 90%. Completely disagree, 0%. I think it's the way they create the question that is wrong, I think. Right? But colleague, listen, I think we are in the same cart, the same wagon, that we agree on that. Now, this is the hard part, that whatever you click will have to materialize, okay? How much would you like to invest monthly for your community resilience? Yay, yay. When I say that, the $10 go up, you know. Yes, and then the CSO will come to you and collect that money, all right? One way or another. Ladies and gentlemen, as we go along, can I request the one who monitors the online? Is there any question online? Colleague, is there a question online? Voila. How many people participating online? So many. Okay. Then we have the whole opportunity for people in the house. If you have any question, I would select the first three. One, on this side. Will it just stay there? Two, madam, on this side. Anyone? This is your only chance. From this side. Anyone? I cannot see. I get the one. What? Okay, just stop. Just stop at that. Now you can forward, yes. Sige na pare. Anong question mo?
Yes. Hello.
Sorry, I was
Hello,
speaking
dear.
Filipino.
Salamat at naintindihan mo na nagkaintindihan po tayo.
Siyempre man, kaibigan
Yeah.
tayo eh.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. My question is regarding the link between or the definition about the local actors.
Okay.
We have the 2030 target for the Sendai framework and the SDGs. We only have 5 years
Yes.
more. And right now, the usual definition of local actors are on the local NGOs as intermediaries.
Okay.
The community-based organizations have not really accessed this kind of forum to be heard or to participate.
Okay.
And I'm reading the search
Remember.
without S. It's already
Remember,
become-
don't give us lecture.
Yes. So what is the possibility to
Okay.
make it a search and not just an URSS without S 2030?
I like that. So his question is, one, what is defined as local actors? Right? That's a good question. And number two, whoever defined as local actors, how can they be part of the search, not simply just urge? Good question. Just think about that. I'll ask one of you to do that. Number two question was, Madam, your question. Please, use the microphone.
I'm Dr. Nina Khanna from
Dr.
BNK.
Dina, yes, go
I'm
ahead.
from BNK Crisis Disaster Management and from India.
From India, okay.
We talk much here about finance, but I would ask you a question, Olive, on training.
Yes,
How do you train the community
okay.
for it?
Thank you very much. Second question, how do you train the community? Question number three. Oh, you're already there. Oh, my goodness. I thought you were part of the one undefined, but go ahead, brother.
Thank you so much. Really interesting presentation. Thank you for sharing your experience. Question is,
Wait, what's your name?
I'm Vishal. I'm from India.
Vishal from India. Okay, go ahead.
Our challenges due to climate change constantly increasing. not only flood, of course, typhoon and other, what you see and lessons, particularly to deal with extreme heat that we are experiencing. Thank you.
Okay, 3 questions. Who is local and how do we get them on board? Number 2, how do you train people? And number 3, how do you deal with heat wave? Anyone would like to start with the first one? Who is considered local? Let me start with Mayor
Yeah.
Karen. Who is local? Is local government a local actor as well? Please answer your question.
Yes, for in the perspective of local government unit, our local actors, of course, is the whole of our community, which includes both government and non-government organizations in building awareness on the disasters, on our disasters. So it is much more on, as I said, building awareness on what is our exposures and vulnerabilities to disasters. So
Okay.
let me go to the second question.
Yeah.
How to train people? As I said, what we did in building capacities in the local level is first continuous training, really, again, on identifying and making people understand what are our vulnerabilities in the community and how we will respond in times that when the disaster does come in. So I think continuous training, understanding, and capacitating the people in a whole of a community approach. So as I said, involving not only the government but as well as the non-government sector of our community.
Okay.
Can
Olive,
I-
do you like to tackle that? Who do you consider local? And how do you get them involved in the work?
Thank you. I'd like to talk about membership to the FALE. So it's an open membership. Currently, we have both CSO and community-based organizations. So they all form part of, the steering committee. And so they all chip in, and input into how local response should look like in Tonga. So it's both local and CSOs as well as community-based organizations.
How do you train the local actors?
Yeah, interestingly enough, we had just so a part of the work that we do is on capacity development on various capacities, and one of those capacities is proposal writing, which was a need that we had identified from one of the disaster readiness training that we had conducted a year ago. The communities were inquiring about how to access funding. And so we collaborated with some of our members, including Red Cross, project-driven organizations who have a fair idea of how the system works. So we collaborated with them. We print out and simplified a proposal template. We went out with that to the community. It's about using the language that they understand, but also translating to them the language of the donors, what information and requirements does the donors need, and translate that into a language that the community can understand.
Excellent. Thank you. Sobina, question to you.
Okay.
Is Lumanti Shelter Group a national NGO?
Yes.
Do you consider yourself local?
Yes, we are.
How could that be?
Yes.
You're a national NGO, but
National
you're
and
local.
yes, because I'll give you the answer.
So I told you, I'm
Because
asking a
who
question.
is the national
local?
NGO? National NGO. We affiliated and we represent here more than 40,000 women leaders from our country here.
Okay.
And for particularly for the like the training thing, it's not that we always invite resource persons from the outside from the external. We do have our own trainers, our trained leaders who who gives training to the other different groups. And I also want to give the example from our region that we have like 26 members in Asia right now, and there are
In
many
Asia?
groups, yes, in Asia. So it's hundreds of groups who are doing all this community organizing training. Yeah, we have one partner here in Philippines, Go Multiversity, who are very much experts in community organizing training. So they are the one who really want to leverage their expertise in our region. So
Right.
this is how we conduct the trainings.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now, just to be fair on the question of the heat wave, any one of you in your country experience heat wave?
Yes.
You do. Okay. How do you work with community dealing with heat wave?
No, actually, this is still, like we are still testing that. I just want to share a very small example that recently, along with the some of the university, we have conducted a research that, how can we build the affordable heat-proof houses in the heat-prone areas. So we came up with the the report is still being prepared, but there are several ideas along with the community participation, or using the local resources, how they can build their houses heat proof. So it's still in the process. It would better, maybe we can share that later. What is the outcome?
Thank you. Right, ladies and gentlemen, round of applause to our speakers. We are on the last minutes. I realize that we cannot answer all the questions in the world, such as who is considered local, who is national, and who is international. But we leave it for tomorrow, because we're going to see you tomorrow, maybe somewhere else. Tomorrow meaning in future, near future. But look, I will not try to summarize this. We would like to ask Suranjana to step up again and highlight some of the spots that will be pertinent to all of us and to take forward. Suranjana, please.
Thank you, Pak Puji, and thank you, panelists, for some very insightful remarks. Because I started with thinking about the idea of flexibility, I could see the theme, this recurring theme in many of your remarks. To begin with, Olive from Fales talked about these very innovative practices around supporting cash for crops and cash for weaving. And I think a lot of the good practices we talk about have evolved through trial and error. So I want to go back to the idea that funding that is provided has to try and accommodate this kind of testing. I heard also the word testing on the ground. I heard discussion on flexible microgrants from the business community, from Karen, the mayor from the Philippines. So again and again, we're hearing that it's important for DRR funding and adaptation support, which are in some ways quite similar, to allow for trial and error and innovation. Donors love the term innovation. We like to think we're innovative. Innovation takes time. Innovation takes trial and error. Innovation requires us to fail and try again. And that brings me also to the idea of capacity building that was a question asked. And I think, again, if you look at it through the lens of flexibility, the question asked was about training, but I think training is a little bit of a straitjacketed kind of space, and you again need to widen that to look at learning. And I think, again, what is interesting is that we are constantly learning. The CSOs are continually learning. It's not always explicit how that learning is occurring and who's absorbing that learning. But let's face it, we're also learning a lot from community practices, the ways in which communities are organized, how they're taking decisions. And the beauty actually of the CRPP program that we are engaged in with the Asian Development Bank is a lot of it is about learning from the experiences of grassroots women's organizations. So when we talk about learning and training, we are talking about only training local people, local communities. We don't feel that policy institutions have anything to learn from local communities. So when we look at the local implementation of Sendai and try to accelerate it, let's try and reverse that thinking and look at what policy institutions can actually learn from local organizations. And let's look at when they fund local organizations, that they're funding them for their knowledge, innovation, and learning. So somehow that never gets costed into this whole picture. So Pak Puji is signaling for me to wind up. So let me just finally say that there was also the theme of integrating into formal programs, local actions, and local leadership. That's vital. And that integration has to go beyond implementation of government programs in order to support co-designing, co-delivery, joint monitoring, and most importantly, giving local communities a seat at the table. So I'll end with that. Thank you so much.
Suranya, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, I would like to thank our three distinguished speakers, Olive Mafi from Tonga, Mayor Karen Rosales from Las Nieves, Philippines, and then Sabina Lama from Nepal. Thank you very much. With that, I would like to invite you to go back. I would like to announce closing ceremonies at 5 p.m. at the plenary hall. And before that, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a historical event for CSOs and APMC DRR. Do you want to see this event happening again 2 years from now? Make your voice, okay? Let's make it happen. Yes, I'll see you 2 years from now. Hopefully I get younger. But you will see who will be the host for the next 2 years at 5 p.m. at the plenary. I'll see you then. For the NGOs and CSOs, stay on. Stay on. We need to talk. For others, thank you.